What's going on, Grizz Nation? Welcome into another Grizz Game Day update. I'm Kelcey. I am joined for the fourth time this season by Gerald Bourguet.
I think third, but we could go for four next time around. Pretty soon here.
Look, you're here again, and I'm so thankful. And today has a little extra excitement to it because it is the 21st annual MLK Day game. We're hosting it here in Memphis. It is one of the biggest games that Memphis loves, the Grizzlies love, the fans love. So I'm so excited that it gets to be against the Suns for we were just talking about it, the second time in at least 4 years. Okay, so this is, oh yeah, you are right. It's the third time that the Grizzlies are playing the Suns. Both games, the road team won like substantially. Memphis is looking for their 10th straight win tonight. They could make a little bit of NBA history if they, I don't know, win and score in whatever amount of points. I don't know. But John Moran is questionable. John Conchar is questionable. Danny Green is out. But for the Suns, CP3 is out, Cam Johnson out, Campaign out, Devin Booker, of course, out, Shamet questionable. So since the Grizzlies last played them on December 27th, the Suns are 1-8. They're losing by an average of 12.5 games in those 8 games. What have the Grizzlies missed? What has been different since that team that came and kicked the Grizzlies' butts back in December?
Yeah, I think you look at the Suns at that point in time, even they were struggling a little bit with all the injuries they were having to navigate, and they were hungry after what the Grizzlies came in and did to them on their own home court. They were motivated by that. They needed a win badly. So I think that's a product of what you saw in that game. And since then, not to say that they're not motivated, this team is still trying very hard. They just don't have the horses right now. They're missing their best player. They're missing their second best player, depending on how you view Chris Paul at this stage. DA missed a stretch there. They've just had guys in and out this whole time, and they just can't really score like we've seen them in the past. And it's going to be that way for a while. They're using a guy on a 2-way contract as basically their backup point guard, and he's a guy that has mostly played off the ball in Dwayne Washington Jr. So a lot of guys having to step up in the pecking order, and so far they've really struggled to string wins together.
Talking about Dwayne Washington Jr., that is the game where he came to Memphis and had a career night in rebounds and points and all of that. So Memphis fans very familiar with him. That was also a game where there was 8 guys for the Suns who scored in double digits. Have they been kind of, obviously without Devin Booker, without Chris Paul, has it been more of a team focused offense?
Yeah, it's had to be a collective approach, because during this stretch, the one thing Suns fans have learned is that, neither Mikal Bridges nor DA is really that number 2 guy behind Devin Booker. And so neither one of them has really been able to step up on a night in, night out basis as the lead of the offense. They've been running a lot of offense through DA, but he's kind of struggled because he's never really seen this many double teams in his life before. Mikal Bridges has never really been asked to be anything other than an auxiliary scorer. So they've had to rely on a balanced effort. And when you've got that many guys that are playing up and having to shoulder more responsibility, that's a more difficult proposition for sure.
Yes. And let's talk about the Grizzlies real quick, because it's been their defense that has been this unsung hero during this 9-game win streak. They're first in defensive rating right now. Since that December 27th game, they've just continued to shoot up on the defensive end. Okay, give me your prediction. What is tonight's game going to look like? Let's say, we'll be hopeful. Let's say that John Morant is in. The Grizzlies defense has just been clicking. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been on fire with 1 million blocks a game. And the Suns are without some of their best scorers.
Yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Not to be pessimistic, I hope that fans are treated to an entertaining game at least, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a double-digit blowout for the Grizzlies. They remember what happened last time, and they kind of exact their revenge on a team that's not really clicking on all cylinders right now and just doesn't have the manpower to compete with this team, because the Suns have really struggled. There was a 4-game stretch to start the year where they couldn't even break 100 points. So if the Grizzlies defense has been carrying them, that's going to show up in this game for sure, when the Suns are probably lacking a little bit of the firepower that they normally have.
Some other things that the Grizzlies do on offense so well is obviously points in the paint. They're number 1 in points in the paint. So on the defensive end for the Suns, DA is probably the most responsible for stopping that. Who else?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it might come down to some of the perimeter guys preventing a lot of the Memphis guards and forwards from getting into the lane where they're so good. I mean, we saw what happened to poor Jalen Smith the other night when you let these guys in the lane. It could end poorly for you. So yeah, DA has been, his effort on defense has kind of waned every now and then. So he's going to need to be locked in, especially, last game was his first game back from an ankle sprain, and he really didn't look good in that game. So they're going to be looking for a bounce back effort. And, the points in the paint was the tale of these two games. And the first one that the Grizzlies won, it was 72-42 in points in the paint. The second one, it was a lot closer. The Grizzlies still won, but it was only by 2, 48-46. So if the Suns can keep them out of the paint, they maybe stand a chance, but that's a tall task. And then having to score against a defense that's been clicking too, that's tough.
Okay, so you kind of answered my very last question for you. So maybe I'm going to make it more difficult for you and see if you can just pull something out of your hat. I was going to say, give me one stat, because we've seen the matchups where we know who's playing or who's not. Like we've seen these teams play 3 times, or twice. This will be the third time. Give me one stat that if the Suns can do this well, they could pull out the W. And I guess you just can't say points in the paint now. I'm making it really difficult for you. This is like a quiz, pop quiz.
No, that's okay. Because I think the other thing we talked about last time was 3-point shooting. The Suns shot the ball really well in their win and not so well.
54% from 3.
Yeah. So they're going to need another night like that if they want to compete tonight. Just because they've got to be able to find a way to keep Memphis's defense honest.
Gerald, you're awesome. Thank you so much for coming on again. You are great. And I hope you have a really good day today.
Thank you, Kelcey. You too.
Grizzlies fans, tonight's game tips off a little bit early. This is a 5 o'clock tip. So if you're coming into the forum, make sure you come nice and early. It is rainy out there, so stay dry, stay safe. And if you're watching on TV, you can still watch this game on Bally Sports Southeast and the Bally Sports Plus app.